Hello again and welcome to another Auspex Tactics review video, where we focus on tips, tricks and tactics for the Imperium to overcome the vile Xenos and heretics on the tabletop. Today we'll be continuing our look at Space Marine characters, and we'll be reviewing the new Primaris rules for Kor'sarro Khan, the White Scars chapter. Now Khan is a unique character from the White Scars. He costs 105 points and he's an HQ choice. He's got a very nice new model, and he appears to have found himself a bird, and this bird is called Anzuk. So Kor'sarro Khan has a fairly typical stat line for a Primaris captain. He's got a movement of 6, weapon skill and ballistic skill of 2 up, strength and toughness of 4, he's got 6 wounds, 5 attacks, leadership 9, and a 3 up save. He's equipped with Moonfang, his special power sword, frag and crack grenades, and a bolt pistol. Moonfang is a bit better than a standard power sword, quite a lot better in fact. It gives him strength plus 2, AP minus 3, D3 damage, and when you're resolving an attack made against a character unit with this weapon, you can re-roll the wound roll and re-roll the damage roll. He has the Angels of Death rule, which means that he'll be getting an extra attack in the first round of combat, so he'll typically be fighting at 6 attacks, and he gains access to the Bolter Discipline and Combat Doctrines abilities. Bolter Discipline won't really affect him, but Combat Doctrines will mean that he will get extra AP and an extra pip of damage on his close combat attacks when he's in the Assault Doctrine, as per the White Scars rules if you have an entire army that is entirely White Scars. He has a special rule called For the Khan, where you add 1 to all wound rolls made by friendly White Scars units within 6 inches of this model on the turn where they've made a heroic intervention or a successful charge. As this is an aura, it will also affect himself, so he will be really quite nasty on the charge, with a strength 6 weapon that has plus 1 to wound. As a Space Marine captain, he has the normal Rights of Battle rule, which means that White Scars units within 6 inches of him can re-roll 1s. And of course, his bird Anzuk. When this model is chosen to shoot in your shooting phase, you can select one enemy unit that is not a vehicle and is within 12 inches of the model. Roll 1d6. On a 4 up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. To be honest, that's not exactly the most powerful rule, but it is quite fun. And if you choose to make him your warlord, then he gets the warlord trait Trophy Taker, where he gets an additional 1 attack every time he kills a character. This unfortunately is a bit rubbish. It is far better just to start with a buff on the board, rather than having to fill a tricky condition to actually make it happen, and getting plus 1 attack isn't really the strongest buff in the first place. So I would recommend choosing a different character to be your warlord to get a better trait. So basically, Kor'sarro Khan is a slightly upgraded Primaris captain that has quite a decent close combat weapon, buffs some White Scars on the charge that are nearby him by giving them plus 1 to wound, and is very good at killing characters in close combat. I feel like he does suffer from a lack of mobility, as he only has a 6-inch move, so he is going to struggle to make it to combat with the high value characters that he wants to be fighting. So if I were to run Khan, then how would I use him? I think that probably the best place to put him would be in one of the new impulsors, potentially using an impulsor with a shield dome in the centre of the board to move him up the field turn 1, and then keep him inside the transport. The enemy might be able to break it, it might not, but hopefully being aggressive White Scars players, there's quite a lot of other threats closing in on them at the same time. Then we could get him out, hopefully with some accompanying intercessors, to start hitting the enemy very hard in the face. The other option for running him would be to just run him as a buffing captain next to a lot of guns. I feel like his close combat potential might not be fully utilised here, but as it is so cheap to upgrade him to have a really nasty close combat profile compared with a normal captain, it might well be worth it just for having the option to counter-attack with a very, very hard-hitting character. Ideally, if you can keep him alive till later in the game, when you can trigger the Assault Doctrine for White Scars, he'll be getting an additional plus 1 damage and plus 1 AP on his sword. I do feel like that's always a bit of a challenge with White Scars though, because it's better to do damage as early as possible, so having a very good buff happen quite late in the game isn't exactly ideal. So how would I rate Kor'sarro Khan? I feel that he is a semi-competitive to low competitive character, because he's quite hard to get into position, and buff the scary close combat units that he wants to buff. But he does have the advantage of being cheap, so if you're going to take a captain anyway, then I see no reason not to upgrade him to Kor'sarro Khan if you are playing pure White Scars. Thank you very much for listening to an Auspex Tactics video. I will be uploading more Space Marine tactics as often as I can over the next few weeks. So subscribe if you want to see any more, and I have several others including reviews of other characters, the Impulsor tank, the Invicta Warsuit and Eliminators, all of which I've recorded this evening. If you think I've missed anything or want me to cover something different, then please feel free to comment down below. I'll hopefully see you for the next video.